YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. I hope y'all enjoyed yesterday's video about the midsummer transition. It's definitely a thing. It's definitely something you need to know about. So if you haven't watched that video, you need to jump over there and watch that thing real fast. Today's video, though, is going to highlight some of my favorite YouTube channels. And I'm going to preface this, guys. I mean, there's a lot of fantastic YouTube channels out there, but these just happen to be some of my favorites. So, but real fast though, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, which I hope most of you have at this point, but I was actually looking at the statistics today, and almost 50% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. So that's a problem. So if you are watching this video, make sure you hit that sub button. It really helped me out a lot. And comment below, what is your favorite YouTube channel? We all have our favorites, don't get me wrong. And I'm going to show you my favorites today and kind of break down why they are some of my favorite YouTube channels. So as you can tell, we're doing this kind of virtually and how I like to do it, some of my map reading stuff. So we're going to kind of break down some of these different channels and what they can do for you. So the very first group of channels that I'm going to talk about is my best buddies. I'm not going to actually include them in my top 5 because they're all my best buddies. And this isn't a best buddy video type of thing. So obviously Bass Talk Live is in that group. Matt Pangrak is obviously travels with us with Bassmaster Opens. Him and Mark Jeffries sit down and talk about everything bass fishing. So if you're a bass head and you just love talking about bass fishing, you love the information that you can get from bass fishing, this is definitely the show for you. They come on all the time. I want to say it's almost daily. It may be daily. I don't know how their schedule works, but I just watch it whenever I just have some time. Maybe on the road, I'll put it on the background and kind of replay some of their episodes. They really kind of get into some controversy sometimes, but they also get in some really informative stuff too. Obviously, one of those channels that I would take a look at. The second one, obviously, Bradley Hallman. Bradley and I have been really good friends for quite some time. He just launched his new in-depth series where he really dives in on some different techniques and different situational kind of things. You know, it's really funny. Like me, Hallman, and Castledon all kind of grouped up and worked together a bunch, especially during the pandemic. And we still work together this day, but we are pulled in so many different directions. It's not that we don't talk. We literally talk every week, just about almost every other day. So it's just one of those things. But Hallman and I will be seeing each other at Oneida here in just a couple weeks. But like I said, Hallman definitely has some great content. He kind of throws a different perspective on things, and I like how he does that. Obviously, I just mentioned Todd Castledon. Castledon's a very good teacher. He's not afraid to give you his opinion, and I think that's one of the things I love about him. He's one of those people that he doesn't really care what you think as far as like if you like him or don't like him, but he's going to tell you what he thinks. And if he thinks something's wrong, he's going to say it's wrong. And I think that's one thing that I've always really admired about him is he can stand up to the pressure and he can really deliver some fantastic, informative videos. He's one of those guys that, I mean, I learned how to sight fish from the guy. I mean, he's one of the best sight fishermen I've ever seen in my life. He definitely has a different way of doing things. But I think you can learn from him. I really do. Obviously, Scott Martin kind of goes without saying. Scott definitely was part of the reason I even got into YouTube to begin with. So I owe a lot of my success and just overall, like, just who I am today because of him. I mean, he's a really big inspiration to me. So, yeah, I mean, he goes without saying. So let's go ahead and jump right on into this top group. It is a top 5. I would say the top 5 minus the guys, like I said, minus the group that I travel with, minus the guys that are big into my, my circle, basically. And all the 4 guys you just saw are big in my circle right now. So obviously we spend a lot of time together, so I'm just not going to sit there and promote them 24/7. So number 5, coming in at number 5 would be Luke Duncan's Traveling Circus. Luke has been a buddy of mine for quite some time. I've been on his show a few different times. He's once again kind of like a Castledon, but a different way that he does things. I mean, he does a lot of podcasts. I love his podcasts. I watch almost every single one of them. He really, he goes into it, man. He's not scared of anybody, and I think that's what's great about it. He definitely has a different twist on just about everything he does, and his In the Boat series, or Boats and Pros, is hilarious. So if you haven't checked out Luke Duncan, you definitely need to. One that I've personally learned from a lot is Tactical Bassin. These guys grew up around like Clear Lake, California, but now I think they've relocated to like Chickamauga. But these guys know what they're doing, man. Like, and they're really good at what they do. They throw out some of the most informative videos that you could ever find, and they have the sickest underwater stuff that I literally have ever seen. I mean, you can look at some of these different. I mean, like some of the stuff they've gotten is just ridiculous. So I'm definitely a huge fan of how they do that. The other one that's kind of been doing a bunch of underwater stuff is Dave Mercer. I've seen a bunch on Instagram. But these guys were definitely one of the first ones I've seen that really went full in on the underwater stuff, and it is absolutely incredible some of the shots they get. I mean, look at this alone, and you know some people are going to say, "Oh, these are bedding fish," but I mean, I've seen their they had a jerkbait video of catching fish, and you could see them. I don't know how they did. I honestly don't know how they did it. I feel like they had to have had someone under the water, like actually scuba diving, and were set back perfectly and at the right angle next to a school of bass, and they just absolutely wore them out. It was really, really one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. Now, it's kind of taking a different direction. I'm going to go here to another buddy of mine, but Brian Latimer. Brian and I used to travel together when I fished FLW. And still, to this day, we talk quite often. But the one thing about Brian that I really admire is he really tells the backstory well. He's always kind of set the scene extremely well. He came from just about nothing in bass fishing and became what he is today. And, I mean, it's just a marvel of what he's overcome and everything. And, I mean, that same year that he won Seminole, I won Cherokee, and, you know, that was kind of a defining moment in both of our lives as far as bass fishing goes. And, you know, a funny story about Brian, I don't know if I've ever actually told this story, but the year that the tournament that he won at Seminole, we were rooming together, and I want to say it was almost every single night we went to Zaxby's and had chicken. And even one night there was a tornado that came through, tore up Lake Martin and some stuff. And I mean, it was really terrible weather. And I was, God, man, I was so proud of the guy when he won that tournament. And it kind of drove me, I feel like in a way, it kind of drove me to go win my tournament. So, but I just really like the way that he forms up his stuff. I think he has a really good channel, and it's extremely informative too. But I just like his backstory stuff the best, because when he gets to the guts of things, when he really starts letting loose on some stuff, I think it's pretty awesome and kind of changes things. Now, the Informative Fisherman, he comes in at number 2, and I could rearrange this whole top 5 100 times, and I'd be happy with it. But the Informative Fisherman, I'm gonna have to credit him to being the very first YouTuber that I watched, A, and B, he was one of those guys that really was so nice to me in the beginning, before I even started YouTube. So way back in the day, so I knew about YouTube for years and years, and I was the idiot that did not jump on the train immediately. But I was working at Lou's, and we brought in a group of guys, and this group of guys included some of the very biggest YouTubers, minus the Googans, that you've ever seen. And some to this day that have 1 million, 1.5 million. I think one has like a ridiculous amount of subscribers. But at that time, I knew how big YouTube was. I just didn't understand how it worked, and I just didn't think I could do it, more so than anything. Because I didn't want to just go into it and just make a lot of crap, I guess be the better term there. I wanted to make stuff that actually would teach people, and I didn't really know how to do it. Like, I didn't know how to upload videos, how to shoot videos, how to edit videos, none of it. So I had to learn all that stuff. But the Informative Fisherman has always been one of those guys that he kind of took me under his wing in the beginning, and I'll always be grateful. And I learned a lot from his channel. I really did, so. Now, this next one's probably going to surprise you at number 1. And like I said, there's a reason behind every one of these guys, but Kicking Their Bass TV, he's a young guy, absolutely, way younger than I am. The one thing, I sat down in a meeting with him, with Noah, and a couple other guys at Lake Okeechobee one time, and we sat there, and I was having to shoot actually a TV show for Strike King. I was shooting one for Pro Team Journal with Anastasia Patterson from South Carolina. I think it's South Carolina. Yeah, she might stab me now if I said it wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's in South Carolina. And anyways, we had to shoot this show, and it was a great show. But before that, he and I shot a YouTube show, one of the very first YouTube shows I had. And I'll be honest with you guys, this dude, I'd known him for a long time. I sat in meetings with him prior to his deal with Lose. And, I mean, the dude is so smart. When it comes to YouTube, I haven't ever met someone that is so intelligent. But the thing that I think I admire the most about Noah and Kicking Their Bass TV is how much and how hard he works to get the fans involved. And not even just fans, but to get the younger generation. I've always been a big proponent of getting the younger generation involved in the sport. And I've jumped through hoops trying to figure out ways to interact with the younger generation and to get them involved in bass fishing and get them, where they enjoy the sport. But it's guys like Noah that just knock it out of the park. I might be getting 100 a day, and he might be getting 10,000 a day. People, new eyes looking at his stuff and getting people introduced into the sport. And I think that's probably one of the coolest things that you can ever do. Whether or not you're a tournament angler and you look at him saying, oh my God, I could fish circles around the guy. Who cares? If he is making the sport better, if he is getting more kids involved, he's doing his justice, and he's doing a great job at it. So we should give credit to these guys that truly go above and beyond. And it's not just about tournament fishing, guys. I mean, I'm a tournament guy. No question about it. I love to fish tournaments. I'll fish tournaments until my wife tells me I can't fish tournaments anymore. But I'll say this. If we want this, the tournament fishing to succeed, if we want bass fishing to succeed, if we want fishing in general to be a big-time player, if we want it to be number one, we got to have guys like Noah. We got to have guys like the Googans. I mean, truly. We got to have guys like Scott Martin. Your tournament guys like Edwin Evers. All these other YouTubers. We need all this publicity because the harder they work and the more passion they have and the more people they have behind them, the more successful we're all going to be when it's all said and done. But guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. It's a kind of a different video for me, but I really been wanting to do this for quite some time. And I think it's something, because I watch YouTube just like you guys do. But it's one of those, you just got to find what you're passionate about and watch it. I could go on for days about other YouTube channels that aren't about bass fishing. And I have some of my favorites that I absolutely love and that are hilarious. And they might have to do with a video game. But, more so than anything, guys, I hope y'all really enjoyed this video. If you have not subscribed to my channel or any of these other guys' channels, you probably should. They're all great channels to watch. I think you would learn something from each and every one of them. Not trying to drive you away from my stuff, because obviously I'd love for y'all to stay and watch my stuff. But comment below, which one of these would you like to watch? I'd love to hear what it is. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.